And here's a quick review, some things to remember. You can use the vertex form of a quadratic function, f of x equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, to translate the graph of the parent function, f of x equals x squared. First, consider a stretch, or a compression. The graph of f of x equals x squared is stretched or compressed vertically by the factor the absolute value of a. So take note of a's location in f of x. Next, reflection, so reflect the graph across the x-axis if a is less than 0. Translation? Well, we translate or shift the graph, the absolute value of h units, horizontally. When h is positive, the graph shifts right. When h is negative, the graph shifts left. So pay special attention to the location of h in f of x. And finally, another translation, or a shift. We shift the graph, the absolute value of k, units vertically. When k is positive, the graph shifts up. When k is negative, the graph shifts down. So note k's location in the function f of x. Recall that you can obtain the graph of any quadratic function from the graph of the parent quadratic function, y equals x squared, using one or more transformations. You will find that this is not true of cubic functions. Problem 1. Transforming y equals x cubed. What is an equation of the graph of y equals x cubed under a vertical compression by the factor 1/2, followed by a reflection across the x-axis, a horizontal translation 3 units to the right, and then a vertical translation 2 units up? Well, step 1. We'll multiply by 1/2 to compress. So our parent function y equals x cubed becomes a new function y equals 1/2 x cubed. Step 2, multiply by -1 to reflect. So y equals 1/2 x cubed now becomes y equals the negative of 1/2 x cubed. Step 3, we'll replace the input x with x minus 3 in parentheses to translate horizontally. So our function y equals -1/2 x cubed now becomes y equals -1/2 times the quantity x minus 3 cubed. And finally, step 4. We'll add 2 to translate vertically. So our function, y equals the negative of 1/2 times the difference x minus 3 cubed, becomes y equals the negative of 1/2 times the difference x minus 3 cubed plus 2. Your turn. What is an equation of the graph of y equals x cubed under a vertical stretch by the factor 2, followed by a horizontal translation 3 units to the left, and then a vertical translation 4 units down?